All right, boys and girls, hang on to your hats and your britches because we're going to talk empire thinking today with Sam Khorramian. So Sam is back for episode number 2. In the first one, we talked about sales skills that are effective in 2019 and beyond. And as Sam would ask you, are you with me? So we learned that in session number 1, right? You with me? And today, today in this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what I jokingly refer to as empire thinking. Now, what does empire thinking mean specifically? Well, what it means specifically is Sam's been doing this in his own business. Him and a lot of the guys that he runs with as friends and business partners, they do this. I think if I remember correctly, and Sam can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's in 7 different businesses at this point. What they're doing, what Sam is really good at and coaches others is, ancillary income. But if I say ancillary income, it's boring. If I say empire thinking, you get excited. But it's ancillary income. It's making income from other sources, making money in different areas, okay? Buying businesses. We're going to talk about that today too. Syndication, buying multifamily, okay? We're going to be talking about all that today because from what Sam is going to be sharing is real estate agents, because of the transactions we're involved in the business that we run in, we're uniquely positioned to be able to make an income from multiple different streams in many different areas and ways. More so, excuse me, more so than maybe other niches and other professions. So I think we would, it would be a tragedy if we didn't have Sam on for round number 2 to talk about empire thinking. Sam, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back, buddy. It's always a fun time chatting with you and getting the opportunity to be on your show and be a part of this great summit. I'm truly honored and can't thank you enough. So let's talk about some empire building, baby.
Let's talk about it. Thank you for those kind words. Here's where I'd like to start if we can, and then we can just kind of go down the rabbit holes from there onward since you and I are so good at it. When you got into real estate, got your real estate license, you were doing traditional retail transactions, et cetera. At what point did you start thinking like, I could do more with this than just be a real estate agent with a traditional listing?
That's a great question. And to back up a little bit.
You had a lemonade stand at 12 years old.
Pardon me?
You had a lemonade stand at 12 years old. And
I had a lemonade stand when I was 12 years old. And when I learned at the lemonade stand, but all jokes aside, one of the things that I've always done while I've been in the real estate space is I've dabbled in the internet marketing world outside of real estate sales. And what I found in that world is that there's this thing called affiliate marketing.
Okay.
Where someone has traffic. Like, dude, on this show, you got a lot of traffic, right? Mm-hmm. There's people that have offers. They might have a coaching program or they might have a widget or whatever it may be. And I would see people with traffic, with volume, get together with people with products, and they would establish a relationship that they both mutually benefited from, which is essentially, I give you eyeballs. If I help you make sales, you give me a referral fee. Mm-hmm. And that is really, when you think about it, it's the core of commerce. All commerce is really at some point built around the exchange of eyeballs and or attention for revenues. Right. It's either you pay someone an affiliate fee or you pay CNBC a commercial. You're going to pay for the eyeballs. So why not build relationships with people that have your exact eyeball? Or in other words, why not build relationships with people that are looking for the eyeballs that you have? And that all of that for me became apparent when I heard a stat once that every time a real estate transaction happens, there's 28 people that get employed to do something. Mm. And I'm like, man, that's a lot of people. I'd like to own all of those entities, all of the people that are making money. If I'm controlling the volume, why am I not exploring the opportunity to really play on the backside of this in some sort of an affiliate manner? Well, the first problem came up, which is there's RESPA, right? Right. So this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about things outside of RESPA. Clearly, I'm not an attorney. Andre, I don't think you are an attorney. If you are, don't take this as legal advice. Make sure you talk to your brokers and your attorneys and make sure you structure this the right way. But there's a whole world of businesses that are happening and surviving on the backside and around the real estate transaction. So if we can play matchmaker for these services, I started to think, man, there's some opportunity there. And most brokerages, agents, we know the obvious: mortgage, escrow, title, all of these things are RESPA compliant or regulated, and they have a big barrier to entry. So we started to look outside of the things that were RESPA so that we can make quick contracts, quick revenue. And here's the magic of this all. You probably understand this. I'm sure you do. You know what the best thing about ancillary money is, or vendor money, or whatever we call it, affiliate money?
The first place my mind goes to is you don't have any, you don't have to fulfill on any work. So it's all, there's a word for it. It's income that you don't have to like do services around.
That's exactly it. It's work that you don't have to fulfill. Right. One, two, it's bottom dollar, right? If my company makes $100,000, that $100,000 has to run through the mill of offices, expenses, everything. And at the bottom, I get to keep what I keep. Well, if I'm getting a $500 referral fee for said service, I have no cost of management, no cost of advertising, no cost of fulfillment. That hits my bottom line, which is really, really good money. So if I can leverage relationships, get bottom line dollar with no bandwidth taken, it's really exciting money. And that's what really started to pique our interest, is like, man, we can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year if we just learn to leverage these things throughout the transaction. So I think that's what we'll be talking about today. And then it led to, well, we'll go deeper in these too. How can we own these businesses that we're leveraging? How can we start leveraging what we're doing to buy more real estate? And all of those things today are one of the most exciting things that we like to work on internally is, yes, we're a brokerage, but what else can we do to make ourselves more profitable through the course of our day-to-day activities? And there's a quote I shared last week that I'll share again. This always rings true in my brain. The millionaires become millionaires by figuring out how to make more money on the things that they're already doing. Millionaires become millionaires by figuring out how to make more money on the things they're already doing. What are we doing that we can leverage? So with your direction, I think we dive into some of those and talk about what they look like.
Brilliant. By the way, the word I was thinking of was incremental income. That's how I visualize it. It's incremental because, like you're saying, you don't have to do any work for it. There's no operational overhead or stress.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely love it. Okay, where should we start from everything you just shared? Where would be the most? Where's the what? Let's start this way. What are the natural next first steps for a real estate agent who's listening to this and wants to start implementing this?
So I think the first thing people are going to say is, well, how do I find these people? What are these category of people? How do I approach the conversation? So knowing that there's 28 plus, and I'll get to the plus, I just started asking myself, okay, well, where am I seeing commerce happen around our transactions that most people aren't making money on? The first and most obvious is movers, right? So I just wrote down a few of the people that were making money on: movers, home decorators, landscapers, furniture providers, insurance providers, home protection like ADT and different services like that, cable, home security, solar is a huge one. So all of these things are people that want to get our customer, right? If someone is going to pack up their boxes, that means they're going to need a moving truck. That means they might be wanting furniture. That means they're probably going to need a new landscaper. They're going to need some new home security. They might be interested in some solar. And, we internally call ourselves kind of like Homazon. We take Amazon, put home in front of it. If we can make the process easy for the consumer, give them the things that they're already going to go search for, not only can we make money, but I think it even looks to the consumer that we're providing more value because we're simplifying and streamlining the entire move.
Right. Okay. So once you find these businesses or make a list of these businesses, what do you do next?
So I'll give you my script that always works. So for one, when I look for this, the first thing I go to Yelp. Okay. And I'm going to go into Yelp and I'm going to look for the company that is the highest reviewed. Okay. So I'm going to put in furniture, San Diego, filter by highest reviewed. Obviously that's important because I want someone that's doing good service as it's, a reflection of me. It's also important because that the company that puts that much effort behind getting Yelp reviews is the type of company that wants more opportunity, right?
Right.
So you're going to call almost 9.5 out of 10 times. You're going to get the gatekeeper. You're going to get the assistant. You're going to get the receptionist, whatever it may be. So my script goes something like, "Hi, Andre, my name is Sam. I'm a local real estate provider. I'm looking for a solution for my clients that are looking for moving needs. And I need to find someone that's trusted. My question for you is, are you accepting more customers?" And what happens is when you frame it that way, are you accepting more customers? I think what it says to the gatekeeper or the person on the phone is, look, Sam's not talking about like, I have a mover that wants to move a home this weekend. Sounds like this guy has a plethora of opportunities, because he wouldn't have framed it, are you accepting more customers? And naturally in any conversation, you're going to get people that aren't interested, of course. But the large percentage of people are going to say, yeah, of course we're looking for more customers. Explain to me what that looks like. And you'll just explain, look, last year my company, I would borrow credibility from your company, so it's not just your production. My company did 5,000 transactions. We helped 5,000 families move around the city of San Diego. And one of the things that always comes up is they're asking us for a good moving referral. What I'd like to talk about is helping position you and your team as the trusted solution for our clients that are looking to move. Could you imagine 5,000 transactions or 500 transactions making an impact on your moving business? Of course they would. Perfect. Who's a decision maker here that I can talk to? And you really, first goal is to just set up that meeting.
Got it.
Right? I want to get on the phone with Andre. I want to get on the phone with the decision maker. And then at that point, I think that when you talk to the decision maker, they're already used to paying for attention. It's either Facebook ads, commercials, billboards, newspapers, whatever it may be. But I'll tell you, the best type of attention to pay for is the attention that is already converted.
Right.
Paying for a Facebook ad that I'm going to pay for regardless of getting the consumer is one thing. But paying for the consumer after I got the consumer is a lot easier decision for a business owner to make.
Right.
Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, it does. It does. So you have the meeting, and what is it that you're trying to walk out of the meeting with?
I like to walk out of the meeting. We have one of two ways that they pay us. We're either going to set up a term that we've all heard of before, which is called an MSA, a marketing service agreement. This marketing service agreement, frankly, we're going to try to get as much as we can on a monthly basis, depending on how much they make per client, how much we think we can move their needle. So it might be, I think we have an electrician that pays us maybe $500 or $1,000 a month, right? Okay. So for the electrician, we're promoting this electrician throughout the transaction to our agents as well as our agents to their consumer. So for the electrician, we went with a flat monthly fee. We do a 6-month agreement. We write it up just like any other marketing agreement, and they're paying us on the 1st or the 15th or whatever it may be through some sort of credit card, automated charge, or ADT, auto pay. So one option is we're going to set them up on a monthly reoccurring fee.
Okay.
Option 2, and generally I go this direction with companies like, for instance, with solar. I'm looking for a new solar provider right now, and the company I'm talking to is going to offer $850 in commission per solar that is purchased and installed. $850 is a lot of money.
Right.
Right? So if I was to ask for a monthly fee in that scenario, it would probably be 10 grand a month. But I believe I can drive a lot of traffic there, and I would prefer to take the monthly off the table and get myself in a scenario that every time I deliver them a purchase contract, that I'm getting paid that $850 commission.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a really cool company out there that I'll share, if that's okay, Andre.
Go for it. Yeah.
There's a company called Utility Hound. Utility Hound is a free service for the agent and for the consumer.
Okay.
What Utility Hound does is they will switch your clients' electricity, their phone, their utilities, all these things that always get switched. They'll switch them for the consumer at no cost. You get to connect them at no fee to you, and Utility Hound will actually pay you for the referrals that you send. So now Utility Hound is going to go do all the heavy lifting. They're going to switch them from Cox phone or cable to AT&T Uverse cable. They'll switch them from Cox telephone to AT&T telephone. They'll get them switched from, whatever home security they had to ADT. And each one that they switch them over, there's generated revenue that goes to them and then in turn to you. And I believe, don't hold them to this, I believe that they're willing to look at monthly service agreements or pay as you promote type affiliate arrangements.
Okay, awesome.
Right. So there's two things I really want people to think about. One is who are the clients, the businesses that want to get in front of the transaction.
Right.
Which is easy. That's solar, that's ADT, that's landscapers, furniture, the list goes on and on, home decorators, movers, pool guys, all of that stuff. But then there's the people that are not so much worried about getting in front of or on the back of the transaction. They benefit from getting in front of the human beings that are moving into the area. So for example, if we were to just divide San Diego for simple purposes into two halves, people are probably moving from south to north or north to south. Mm-hmm. If we moved 5,000 people last year, and let's just say the average household is 3 people, that's 15,000 mouths that are moving. As a dentist, what I'd like to have a connection to these 15,000 mouths that are moving from North San Diego to South San Diego? And I think the answer is yes.
Right.
One of the things that we've developed is a homeowner resource app that our agents now get to give to their clients. So when they're moving to a different part of town, there's a list of preferred dentists, preferred doctors. The list goes on and on. Optometrists, orthodontists, chiropractors, home cleaning services. It's really endless, right? So we'll set up a relationship with the people that want to get in front of the humans as opposed to the people that want to get in front of the transactions. So the doctors, the dentists, the chiropractors, they'll pay us anywhere from $100 to $200-$300 a month to be our preferred provider in that category when clients are moving into that area. So if you were to just get 20 different providers and charge them each $200 a month, 20 times 200, that adds up, right? That's $4,000 a month, $48,000 a year for just playing matchmaker. You didn't have to call and make the appointment. You didn't have to call and say, "Hi, dentist, this is my client Andre. I'd like to, play connection." You have just made the dentist a resource in your homeowner resource app, or it could be a printed out guide. Like sometimes you'll check into an Airbnb and they have the local resources. Here's where to go to the bar. Here's where to go to get this. Here's where to go to get that. You can print it out and give it to them. You can digitize it inside of an app. There's a great app company that we've been using called, what is it called? It'll come to me. But for a couple $100 a month, they give you the entire framework. It's called Dizzle, Dizzle. Dizzle will allow you, they essentially templated an app that you get to customize. You could put Andre Home Selling Team on the top. On the bottom, you can have the categories of the different resources made available, a way for them to connect with the doctor, the dentist, whatever it may be. Nice. In exchange for the opportunity to be on that app, they're going to pay you your $100, $200. Look, I don't care if it's $25 a month. Is $25 more than zero? Yes. Do you have to do anything in perpetuity for it? No. Will it add up and go to your bottom dollar? Yes. I see so many people discount this because it's $25 here, it's $100 there. But folks, $25 here and $100 there pays your cell phone bill. Another $125 and $300 here maybe pays your car note.
This can completely zero sum your entire business, all your business expenses, and probably pay for all your advertising and marketing.
Absolutely. It's a great way to just make your nuts smaller.
Yeah.
Like for us in our offices, we charge both our agents and people outside of the company to rent office space from us. right? Like if I'm a marketing agency that wants to get in front of agents, I want to be inside of an office that has a bunch of agents so they can rent an office space for us. I'm going a little sidetracked, but the point here is look at ways to turn your volume, your transactions, your people that you're moving into an opportunity to get them in front of new resources. And I'll tell you the ones that work the best, and there is plenty of people that'll do it, is they say, look, I charge $125 for a cavity filling, but if you come from this app, I give you 25% off. Or if you're referred from Andre Holmes' team, you get this special promotion. So now not only are you giving the consumer value, you're giving them value beyond just the connection. So every time they go and they get their kids' teeth whitened, or they hire a pool cleaner or whatever it may be, and they're saving money, they're remembering, oh man, I love Andre. He's hooking me up again. He's hooking me up again. So it's a great way to also stay in front of your clients with real value add proposition.
And if you don't have a lot of volume happening right now, like you said, you can borrow the numbers of your local brokerage, right? Where you hang your license. Yes. That's perfectly fine to borrow those numbers.
Borrowed credibility is awesome, and it's fair.
One of the things that you're paying for as a real estate agent when you give them a split or you pay them a desk fee or whatever, right? You're actually paying for that.
Absolutely. The other way to do it, and this will come back into when we start talking about buying businesses, is let's say your volume isn't crazy, but there's 10 other teams or agents in your area that have similar volume that also would like the opportunity to capitalize on an opportunity like this. Okay. Why couldn't you guys co-op your efforts here? And if you're doing 20 transactions and the other 10 are doing 10 transactions or 20 transactions, all of a sudden you've got much larger volume that you can leverage to get more of these revenues. That's
absolutely right. How would you pay those other partners?
I think that if there's a number of ways to do it, if the provider offers a discount, you give them a discount code, right? So
got it. Exclusively through that team.
Code is ABC, your discount code is XYZ, and that's tracked. Or if you find 10 people that are truly at the same level of production, which is not hard to get, then you guys just split that revenue. If it's a monthly revenue, you just split it by tens. Like, look, you can get this thing to making $4, $5, $6, $10, $12,000 a month. If you co-op it with 10 people and you're taking an extra $500 a month home, are you really that upset?
Right.
No, it's $500. Like that buys you more leads. It buys you opportunity. It brings down your nut.
And who knows what's possible with all those partnerships, right? Especially if you're the ringleader that's put it all together.
Yep. Yeah, and this is something, depending on where you're at, obviously not all markets permit this, but in our local market, we started our own escrow company. We had the volume, we started it. I'll talk to you about how we can do that with no money in. But there's other producers here that maybe were doing 50 deals a year, and like 10 of them got together and they all started their own escrow company. So if your volume isn't there, why aren't you going to 10 other people with similar volume, and you guys, instead of your nut to start being 150 grand, well, now it's, if you got 10 players, it's only 15 grand, and there's ways to even bring that down, which we'll talk about. But when you think about co-oping, there's so much opportunity that could be generated from starting businesses or co-oping the attention that you guys have as a collective to start getting referrals, affiliate fees, and MSAs.
I love that. So how do we start parlaying that into buying businesses? You've mentioned it a few times, and you said even in some cases, no money down or no money out of pocket.
Yeah, of the 7 businesses that we own, I think we only had to put money into 2, maybe 3 of them, just to be conservative. My gut's telling me it's only 1, but we'll call it 2 or 3. The other ones we've done in one of 2 ways. The first one is, I'm going to use a term that is a little bit aggressive, but I think it gets the point across, is the pipe wrench offer. Okay. Which is, look, I'm sending you this much business right now. This business is about 20% of the business that you're doing. or 5% or 15% or 50%. You never know. If you're co-oping or if you're a brokerage or a big team, the numbers obviously grow. I've noticed that this is a big profit center, and I'd like to figure out a scenario to where I get to get some equity, some vesting in this business. And if you say no, I'm going to pull this pipe wrench out and beat the, I'm just joking. But that's the point, is you got the pipe wrench in your hand, not literally, but you've given them all this business that they are now living on, growing on, and they don't want to lose it. And it's fair commerce to say, look, we've tested this thing out for a year and we've been going really well. I'm left with one of two options. Do I start this business and start to bring it in-house, or would you rather we find a scenario that I could just be a vested partner in your business and I'll continue to drive revenue, and even better than that, I'll connect you with some of my other friends and my other brokers and my other associates that we can collectively convince to help you become their preferred solution for whatever you offer. It works almost every time, because these people always want more attention and they want partners that give a damn. And if you're the type of person that's already given them a good amount of business, they actually want to go deeper with you, and they also don't want to lose the business that you're giving them. Right.
That makes a lot of sense. And that conversation, I'm sure it can sometimes be a little bit difficult to have, or not?
Is calling an expired a difficult conversation to have?
I guess it depends on how you see it.
Exactly. I'll tell you this. In this business, and as an entrepreneur, as a leader of your business, you get paid big bucks for having uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a walk in the park. I mean, it's not like they're not like waiting for you to call them and ask them for a piece of their business, but They definitely want you to take that business away from them. And, you know, certainly there's going to be people that are hearing this. They're saying, oh, that's not nice. That's not fair. You know, that you're taking advantage. I can respect that might be your perspective, but my perspective is that my responsibility is to two things: one, my business, and two, my family. So, you know, inside of these walls, I need to do what's best for the business, just as any other real organization would. Now, combine that with the fact that we know it's coming, Andre. We don't want to look at it. I mean, just today we saw this past couple of days, the whole OpCity, Realtor.com news, like, you know, our commissions are under attack. Not only are they under attack, we are headed towards commission compression. I don't want it to happen, but it's sure as hell going to happen, right? We will start getting paid less commissions. As that happens, how great would it be if you can continue to keep the level of income that you're getting now as you would when the commissions drop, by merging the gap with solar, ADT, all these different things. Right. And even better if you own a piece of the company, because real wealth is built on long exits, big exits. If I can eventually, this company sells for a few $1 million and I own whatever percentage, that's a nice little pop. That in this space, as agents, we don't own anything. All we own is our phone and our database.
Right. So let's say I'm a real estate agent. Let's say I'm starting to send a lot of business towards, I'll just take a couple examples. Let's say to a mover, let's say to a landscaper and a plumber. Okay. What kind of business should I be sending them that I can start having that conversation about taking equity?
I think that once you can calculate that it's a percentage of their business that matters.
Okay.
And the way you
obviously be seeing those numbers on your side, whether they're paying you a flat fee or they're paying you a commission, you'll be able to know the numbers you're sending because you're going to be tracking clicks, opt-ins, whatever.
Yes. And what we do with our vendors is we try to meet with them at least quarterly. Okay. So let's say you and I have been together for now 2 quarters. I say, hey, Andre, last quarter we were driving about 20 orders a quarter. Now we're about 60 orders a quarter. How's the growth going for you? Oh, it's going good. We love it. Thank you. I'm just curious, what percentage of your business is that? That's probably about 25% of our business. No, you're not going to like go straight for the kill there. But now, you know, by staying in communication with them and ask, remember we talked about this in our last session, being curious, asking good questions, you get all the answers you want. So they say, oh, you're this percentage of business, or this equals this much revenue for our company, right? When they tell you that your business has helped them make 200 grand extra this year, that's something that they're not going to take lightly. So I think it's all a factor of knowing that you're some sort of a percentage that matters. And I'd say that that's probably something above the 5 to 10% range.
Got it. When you have that conversation, let's say that they say no. Are you really going to go start the business, or are you going to look for a competitor to redirect that traffic and attention to?
I'm going to go to a competitor and I'm going to say, look, I've been working with ABC Moving. We send them about 60 a quarter. They told us it's about X percentage of their business. I'm planning on really growing this, but if I'm going to put the effort into growing this, I want to have a long-term position in the company that incentivizes me and motivates me to do even better. So I'd like to explore an opportunity to where we have some sort of affiliate investing agreement. And for those of us that don't know what vesting means, it means after I've fulfilled on X amount of things, after I've sent you X amount of business, or after I've supported you for X amount of time or revenue, I then get gifted X amount of shares. Very similar to working at a big corporation that will give you stock options. Right. Investing in a business like that is similar. You do X, you get Y over the course of time. Now you own that equity. You can sell it back to them. When they sell the company, you're introed in the exit. I have a friend that got invested just a couple of percentage points in a mortgage company when he was doing some consulting for them. And this was like 10 years ago. Totally forgot about it. And he called me about 6 months ago. He was like, bro, I just made $3 million today. I'm like, how did you do that? He said, remember that company that I got so-and-so in? They just sold to another company and I made almost $3 million. Like, that's what dreams are made of right there, right? And you might say, oh, it's only 2%, it's only 3%. But what happens when it turns into a big opportunity in a big company? And how will that $2 million or $200,000 or even $20,000 make a difference in your business? And I'd be willing to bet, I don't care how much you make, 20 grand or 2 million back makes a difference.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it does. So these businesses that an agent would get partnered up in or have an equity stake in, you're not necessarily owning the majority of the company or 100% of the company.
No, I don't want to own it because I want them to be the ones that are working there. Right? Okay, the moment I control the business, I control the debt, I control the liabilities, I control everything, right? It's now my gig. What makes us attractive is that I don't have to do anything besides shine light upon the resources that they offer. So, I'd say if you could get yourself to a 20, 25, maybe 30%, you're really good, because now the burden is still on them to grow the business and run the business. You are now just more incentivized to refer your other friends, your broker partners, and you're going to bring a wealth of knowledge to them as an owner that you wouldn't otherwise. If you give me 20% or 5% or whatever it is, I'm way more incentivized to refer you to my friends and bring you to my different colleagues and invite you to events and play matchmaker. And that's what they ultimately want.
That makes a lot of sense. Timeline. Let's say I start thinking about something like this and going after very consistently. Where could I be in 3 or 5 years?
That's a great question. I think it's all directly related to the amount of volume that you have and how you can leverage that. I can't tell you how much we get on it, but I'll tell you that this is something about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, we went all in on. We hired a full-time person that almost her only job was to go find vendors that we could build these relationships with.
Okay.
And for those of us that are wondering, I can't afford this, I'll tell you, her salary was minimum wage, but her commission was she got the first month revenue that we got from the company. So she went and signed up a $1,500 a month MSA, was a $1,500 a month pop. We collected everything there on out. So this is something, again, that a few of you could co-op on. But we went into it heavy about 1.5 years ago, maybe 2. And for us, it's multiple 6 figures a year that we're making off of just being a promoter of goods and services, and none of them are in the RESPA area, right?
Right.
Because that's just, I don't even want to mess with it. That's a whole nother level of rate tech. If I'm going to get in those environments like escrow, I'm just going to own the escrow company. So this is stuff that most people in this industry just aren't even looking at. And it's such a big opportunity, so much so that you could go almost onto any website. And most people don't even know this, bro. You could go onto like, name a website, AT&T.com. And if you scroll to the bottom, chances are you're going to find a link that says affiliates.
Right.
Right? Like this is standard business operations for most businesses. Right. They are used to people like you and me asking for a kickback for sending them business. So you just go there and you start the conversation.
The average, last time I read, it might be a different number now, but the last time I read it, the average Fortune 500 company has 133 channel partnerships. Channel partnerships is another way of saying affiliate relationships. We intentionally give each other attention to our products and resources mutually and collect revenue, referral revenue. 133 channel partnerships is the average.
Yeah, that's a great stat. I haven't heard that, but it just makes sense because like if I have 133 really strong relationships that are moving the needle in my business, think about how much that saves me in potential liability of advertising dollars that are never predictable and duplicatable. But if I build a relationship with Andre and Andre has X amount of business and can get me X amount of ups and I only pay for it when I get it, not only is it safe, predictable, it's also scalable and something that most businesses are excited to approach.
Well, here's the other thing that I think we haven't talked about yet. Maybe you have a few words on this. Before even getting to an equity stake, just when you're sending them consistent business, there's a way to carve out that deal where they consistently promote you as a real estate agent.
Absolutely. Why not?
Like a moving company, a landscaping company, cleaning company. It's like the agreement could be they need to email out their database twice a month about you or let you host a webinar where you promote yourself and educate people on home selling, right? Like, dude, you take an equity stake where then it's like, dude, this business is going to promote my core business. You know what I mean? Like,
that's really sharp. And the reality is like someone like a landscaper, a home renovator, like seller's going to tell them, hey, landscaper, like I want you to chop a little neater and go a little deeper because we're about to think about selling this thing, or a home renovator, like a percentage, I'm going to guess 15, 20% of people that are going to do work to their house are doing it in preparation for selling it. So when you can have these people be your B2B referral partner, now it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yep. One thing that I've talked about and read about too is that real estate agents are typically very downstream in the real estate cycle compared to like when it starts when a homeowner starts thinking about it, like you're saying, clean my windows, replace my gutters, paint my trim, like whatever it is. If you can go upstream at all, you'll be the only agent competing there usually. Yes. And if you capture that attention upstream, it's yours. Like
you're absolutely right.
You got to move upstream in the transaction.
Yeah.
It's brilliant that you're taking equity stakes in businesses in the upstream.
Yeah. It's the future. It is the future. I'll tell you, you don't know what these big disruptors in the space are working on, the open doors and all these. They're working on this. Like, I don't know, but I'd be willing to bet you that 10 years from now, you're going to see Open Door and Compass moving trucks. And you're going to see Open Door and Compass, I don't know, landscaping services. Like, they know what they're doing. They are going to Amazon the real estate game. Might as well play alongside them.
Well, because they're looking at the exact same stat that you talked about, 28 different people getting paid in the real estate transaction, and they're coming in with investor money, and they're saying, how can we get a big chunk of this pie? I think Open Door right now has like 18% share in Scottsdale or Phoenix, Arizona, market share of all transactions. I'm not talking a zip code. I'm talking the whole city. It was either Phoenix, Arizona. Bob Mangold, he's on the summit. He was telling me about this. So you're absolutely right. We don't know exactly what the future looks like, but we know it's different from what it looks like today. That's all we do know, right?
At the end of the day, we have to remember the consumer will always win with innovation.
Yep.
And the companies that are looking to put the consumer first, regardless of the way it's been done, are going to be the companies that win. And in our space, putting the customer first doesn't mean you have to be the cheapest. It means you have to provide a seamless, turbulentless, calming, beautiful process that, makes what is right now a very daunting sale something as easy as going to CarMax.
Yeah, your job as a real estate agent is gravitating towards providing an incredible phrase there, keyword there is experience.
Absolutely.
This ladder that you're demonstrating to people is so beautiful. You could be doing 10 transactions a year right now and saying your first year in business, and okay, I'm going to go full tilt, get in this. So it's ancillary income. Then after that, you can parlay that into taking percentage equity stakes in businesses. Now, the next part of the ladder, the way at least I see it as a ladder, it may not be the way you see it, but this is how it breaks out in my mind. This money's coming in. What are you dialing that money into? So here's a couple of questions. One, what's the best thing to put that money into? More advertising and marketing so you can take more market share. Second question I have then is, can you borrow against those equity stakes to then take that money invested in real estate? How are you buying multifamily and getting into all that? Because you mentioned when we were talking on the phone, or when we talked about subjects, you talked about syndication and buying multifamily. So are you then taking money from your equity stakes in these ancillary businesses and parlaying that into real estate yourself? Or let's really start building the empire here. What do you do next?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above, right? Every business is different. Like if I'm 36 years old right now, I'm more committed to reinvesting in growth than I am putting away and putting in the account or whatever. If I'm 66 years old, I'm probably more committed to taking it and putting it in my pocket. I think that's really up to you. I'd say if you're in growth mode, you're best reinvesting, right? That's I think always take a little bit, right? Reward yourself, but reinvesting is oftentimes the best opportunity. So this will segue into the syndication of multifamily. I said I would give you two ways to buy into these companies or get ownership with no money. One of them is like what we said, the pipe wrench offer. I'm giving you this, now let me get that. The other is, okay, I'm going to go start an escrow company, or I'm going to go start a marketing agency, or whatever it may be. So one of the companies that we started before we had any revenue, we knew that it was going to cost us about $100,000 of runway and expenses to get this company up and running. We also knew that when the company got to where we wanted to get, it could be a company that was worth several millions and millions of dollars. Who knows where it goes, but it wouldn't be a small business. So what we did is we said, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and raise some money to start this business. And we're going to evaluate the company pre-revenue before it's made any money. We're going to evaluate the company at $1 million, and we're going to go sell 10% worth of this company to raise the $100,000 that we need to get it started. So we went to different people in the space. We went to agents and said, hey, we're starting so-and-so company. Would you like to be a part of something that's growing? It's valued at $1 million. Minimum in is this much. We're raising $100,000. Would you like to buy in? It probably took me about 3 weeks of just talking to different people in the industry. We got the people to buy in. We got the capital to start the business. This business is now, growing and doing really well. And we've put no or close to no of our own cash into it because we went and raised money pre-revenue. This might seem like something, how do you do that? That's how a lot of companies start, right? Like they don't have any money. They say, I have this great idea. This is what we're trying to achieve. And they raise money. I mean, I don't know what companies still don't make money, but Zillow raised hundreds of millions of dollars before they had any dollars, before they had any revenue. Right. So it can be done, and it's standard practice. And the thing that I'll finish on that, which will segue into syndication, is good money is always looking for good opportunity. Right. There's not a shortage of money. People think it's hard to get money. No, it's hard to get money if the opportunity is trying to not use bad words. It's not that exciting. But when there's good opportunity, there's always good money.
You're not exciting. Terribly boring.
That was a pretty good accent, dude.
Yeah, my inner snob.
So let's talk about syndication. I know we're almost running out of time here. So to me, real estate at its core is the best investment that there is to make. I'm a real estate guy. A lot of people will tell you, I don't know the exact stat, but the largest percentage of millionaires have been made through owning and buying and owning real estate. What's staggering is how many agents don't own any real estate, not even the home that they live in. So why is that? Well, it's because as an industry, we make less than we'd like. We spend more than we make. There's not a lot left over. And the biggest challenge is to go buy a property. I need a big amount down, whatever it may be. So syndication is the idea of a group of people bringing together their funds and or resources to buy assets that are larger than they can purchase on their own.
Okay.
Right? So for me, what I'm most excited about is multifamily. Why? Because buying a single family or even a duplex, if I have one vacancy, I'm 50% down on revenue or 100% down on revenue. I'm not collecting anything. Right. If I buy an apartment with 25 doors and I have one vacancy, it affects my bottom line way less. And rents always go up. So if I have more doors with more rents, obviously long-term, this is something that could get very exciting for me. So the idea of syndication is, again, there's a lot of laws behind this. There's Regulation D. We'll talk a little bit about it. I'm not giving legal advice either, as Andre. Make sure you do this the right way. But the way syndication works at its core is there's what they call like a capital stack, right? There's the debt to purchase the property. So if I'm buying $1 million building and the bank's willing to give me, let's just say 70%, okay, well, I have 70% in debt.
Okay.
Now I have the $300,000 difference that I need. Plus, maybe I need an extra $100,000 for renovations to put in new kitchens and things of that nature. I need to raise $400,000.
Okay.
Right? I have the debt of $600,000 or $700,000. I need that other $400,000. I can now go to people, and this is where the regulations come in. Generally speaking, under Reg D, talk to an attorney. This is only my understanding of it. Is that your investors, any fund that you're raising money for, your investors should be accredited investors, meaning they need to, I think it's make at least $200,000 as an individual, $300,000 as a couple, or have a net worth of over $1 million. Mm-hmm. Within that, you can have 35 people that are non-accredited. So if I need to raise that $400,000, I can get 35 people to invest that are non-accredited. Everybody outside of that needs to be accredited. But while we're on the topic, research this on your own. But with the Jobs Act, what came into place was crowdsourcing becoming a legitimate opportunity for real estate syndication. And if you go Reg A, then two things change. One, you can have more than 35 non-accredited investors, which opens up the pool. And two, you can publicly promote this opportunity to people that you don't know.
Yes, that's what I heard too. Yeah, and I've read about it because I'm thinking about doing something like this myself soon. Is I can run Facebook ads inviting people to just download my 4-page PDF on what I'm raising money for.
Yes.
Here's what I'm raising money for, and start the relationship. But you can literally run Facebook. No, I'm not a lawyer, but this is so far what I've researched is I can run Facebook ads around this.
Absolutely. And the difference there is on Reg D, which is the way it's always been done. I can't go publicly promote. I can only raise money from people that I have an existing relationship with. So when you look at these two opportunities, really look at Reg A is what I see as the biggest opportunity. It's new, it's different. It's people like Andre and I are just starting to peek our noses into it. It opens up a lot more opportunity. So now I want you to think for a moment, like, okay, so what does this mean for me? Let's say I'm Andre, I'm in Sacramento, I'm a well-connected dude. Maybe I don't even know if Andre's still in business, but let's say Andre's still doing transactions. He probably does 20 transactions a year. He probably has a few people at his brokerage. He doesn't have enough resources in his little, obvious world to raise enough money. But why isn't he going and starting the Sacramento syndication resource, where now I'm going to brokerages, I'm going to teams, I'm going to all of my competitors, and I'm saying, hey, why aren't we talking about real wealth creation here? Let's co-op our fundraising efforts so that we can put $5,000 down each, 10 grand down each, whatever it may be, and start to take down these large multifamily assets, or whatever you want to take down. I mean, you can syndicate a business, you can syndicate anything. It's a syndication of bringing funds together. And here's where it gets exciting. Let's say that my goal is in the next 5 years, I want to acquire $1 billion worth of assets. Okay. So now I have $1 billion that we now have in management that we own. I plan on keeping them forever. But let's just say 10 years from then, so 15 years from now, it'd be fair to guess that with equity going up, principal going down, because everyone that's renting from me in these assets is paying down my principal,
right?
Could I get a 30 or a 40% delta there? Why not? And if I have $1 billion of real estate that I've syndicated to get into, and the equity goes up, the principal goes down at a 30% delta, now I have a real like cash value of $300 million for assets that I bought by bringing on debt, maybe some of my own cash and other people's cash.
This is how I'm going to go buy the Seattle Seahawks.
You could go buy the Seattle Seahawks, yeah. You can do that.
I want to own the Seahawks.
You should do that. And syndication, I don't want to say syndication.
It's like my ultimate financial pipe dream. Like of all the financial dreams that I have, the biggest one is to own the Seahawks.
Mine is to own a casino on the Strip in Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just think it'd be really cool. Like, you call your friends, you're like, hey, just come over to my place. Which place? Oh, the Bellagio.
I like that.
So, but same for you. You call your friends, but hey, come over and watch the game. Where are we watching it? Oh, at the stadium.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's a really, really good breakdown in layman's terms. And obviously nothing that you've shared is legal advice. You're not an attorney, neither am I, but you're breaking down what you've learned, how you understand it, what you've used as a vehicle. Yes,
this is my Homer Simpson version of understanding. So I say that because
you could talk to clients about this. You could talk to fellow real estate collaborators about this. Go to brokerages. You could talk to the businesses that are paying you a marketing service agreement to invest in this if they wanted to, or the owners of them. There's so many different ways, but you can also promote this and advertise this out there as well. Obviously, talk to an attorney about the legal details, but this is possible.
It's possible and it's happening. And to me, this is the new land grab of the land grab, right?
So the syndication deals are basically you're saying that I can go out and buy a 20-unit property without a single dollar out of pocket. Because between the debt that the property itself the bank's willing to lend on the property itself, just the core value of the real estate asset. And if you make up the balance of syndicated revenue, right? Syndicated investment revenue, that's not the right word, investment, then are you saying that this is a strategy where you can do it no money down?
Yes, you can do it no money down. I think what you'll find, especially now, is standard practices in the capital stack we talked about. You might have some of your own capital, and as you make more, you'll want to do that.
Putting your own money into it.
Yeah, I think it's standard practice, but you can certainly, as my understanding is, do it without any of your own capital. And this is the thing about syndication is it's kind of like an old boys club, right? It's been done this way for so long that the old boys and old women in the club don't want this to be the new way, but that it is. And in the future, we're going to regret not taking advantage of it at its infancy. And I think that this will evolve into so many different ways and so many different opportunities for wealth creation. But if you want to start developing, you can do that with syndication. If you want to just take down large multifamily, commercial, whatever it is, do it with syndication. You could even do it with, smaller single families, right? Or a duplex, buy a duplex, turn it into an Airbnb, take the cap rate up. Now you've got yourself a bigger asset that you purchased as a residency. So the purchase price is based off of value. But if I make it into an Airbnb, all of a sudden I can sell it on revenues, which is cap. And now that asset that maybe I bought for 150 grand or 500 grand, because I've increased revenue and sell it at a cap of 5 or whatever it may be, that could now be an extra $100,000 of equity because I've repositioned the asset into an investment with a cap rate. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. From your perspective, I know that it was President Obama that made the Jobs Act happen, right? And that's what opened up, as what you described as Reg A. Where do you think that is? Because you just said something interesting. You said, a lot of us in the future are going to wish we'd taken advantage of it, and we didn't. Where would you describe this whole opportunity in its stage, in terms of the typical stages of like infancy, early adoption, critical mass?
I think it's infancy right now. I think it's so infant that attorneys are even a little apprehensive on how to advise around it.
Interesting. Okay, that is new.
Opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Which means, you got to have, what's the word I'm looking for? Some cojones, some huevos. Right?
You get an attorney to look at it and they sign off on it. You're from what my understanding is, if your attorney signs off on it, then you're not the one liable for it, right? If you took.
Yeah, except for the fact that you can get sued by anyone for anything. So if you take money from someone and they want to say that you misrepresented or took advantage, even if you didn't, that doesn't mean that they can't sue you. So there's always this layer of risk, and that's why this is the opportunity. What I love in business, dude, is I love that zone that most people look as a challenge, right? Mm-hmm. Like I love expired calling because everyone says it's so hard, which makes it the opportunity. Right. I love looking at stuff like we're talking about Reg A, that all of the people that have been doing it and making all the money are painting this picture of, oh, this is scary, this is risky. The standard investor doesn't know it yet, so they're a little bit apprehensive. Oh, this is a challenge. We don't know what it's going to look like. But the challenge is the opportunity. Might we get our ass kicked a little bit? Of course, there's a very large percentage chance of that happening. But might we be the ones that are repositioning the way this game is done? Yes. And then that's when you look back 20 years later and your name is like, on buildings and you're in G6s like Uncle Cardone.
Right. Uncle Cardone.
Dude, that guy's leaning into this hard, by the way. I don't know if you watch him on social.
Oh, I do, but I've been watching him since he put out Sell or Be Sold, dude.
Yeah.
Back when getting booked on podcasts wasn't that easy for him.
Totally. It was, but you're absolutely correct. I've been following him when he had that TV show about flipping, helping flip those car dealers. Yeah. But my point is he's leaning into this hard right now. So if you want to
say this, are you talking syndication?
Yeah, syndication and Reg A.
Okay.
So watch his story.
Is he building his audience size to then be able to market to them to invest?
Oh, all day long. Like
I know he's taking out like $20 million apartment buildings, like flipping those.
Like $400 million now. Dude.
Last time I was following close enough, I knew he had just looked like an $18 million building.
So it was between him and my cousin actually that really got me really looking at this. I had my cousin come speak at Closing Table who does syndication. Okay. And I knew this guy was doing well, right? But I didn't know how well he was doing. I invested in some of his deals and I got good returns and I knew it was good. He came to Closing Table and he shared 5 or 6 case studies of deals that they did through syndication. One of them, they bought a freaking high rise in Beverly Hills for a couple $100 million, and a handful of years later sold it for $400 million. Jaw on the floor, dude. Like, I didn't realize that these opportunities were for regular people like you and me.
Right. And the little people.
Yeah. And the barrier to entry is not as high as it's perceived to be. So needed to learn more. My business partner, Oliver, got into a deal and that was a home run. Needed to learn more. Started following Grant. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy, like, go follow Grant. Go on his stories and Instagram and just watch. He'll be on his couch and he's like, yo, you guys got to invest with me. You could invest as low as $5,000, blah, 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 blah. 5 years ago, you couldn't do that. Like, you couldn't even go on social and talk about investing. Now he has over 1 million followers that he's just ripping attention from, saying invest in multifamily. This is an opportunity, folks.
Yeah. Brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant what he's doing. I like him too. I like him.
I love him. I love him.
Bookshelf. And I've given out his books a bunch too.
You know what's really impressive about him? And I know this has nothing to do with the topic, but there's a lesson here.
It's all empire thinking. Keep going.
It's empire thinking. This guy, 2 years ago, his big event, I want to say, had like 400 people there.
Yeah, his 10X conference.
Yeah, his 10X conference had like 400 people 2 years ago.
Yeah,
the
his last one just had like 9,000.
He said 30,000. Who knows how many showed up?
I don't know, whatever number it was.
Well, let's call it 9,000. Look what just 2 years can do for you.
Yeah.
2 years ago, 400 people. Today, 9,000. One of the biggest seminars probably ever happened in history. And in a 2-year window, why did that happen? It's because he makes more noise than most people.
You know what else that I've observed about him that is a parallel to what you're sharing here today? So, yeah, you heard me say here, folks. First, Sam Khorramian and Grant Cardone are in the same sentence.
I'll take it.
No, but what you're describing with your elements of empire building, right? Ancillary income, then look for ways to do business, buying into businesses, right? Where you buy into them with the pipe wrench offer, right? And then syndication, all this is that it's, you're finding ways to add on incremental revenue or add on revenue now that you can get now. And then you don't have to do work for, right? And then just based off the value that you're already creating as a real estate agent. And then immediately don't go spending that on a Rolex. Don't go spending that on toys. Parlay that into something a little bit bigger, just a little bit more, get a little bit more leverage. As soon as you get just enough leverage and momentum, this is I think what Grant has absolutely done beautifully. I would suspect, I'm not his business advisor, I don't know the back end of his business, but I would suspect if you and I could look at every money move he's made in the last 5 years, it has been probably a ruthless focus on reinvestment and parlaying to where he is now. Now he can go buy a G6 and it doesn't matter. It's literally coming out of the interest of the deals.
That's exactly it. And he
Tell
even
me what
said
you
that
think.
in his video. His new Rolls Royce that he bought was like a $500,000 Rolls Royce. He's like, you guys are just seeing the Rolls Royce. You're not seeing that I've wanted this thing forever. And I promised myself that I wouldn't buy it until 1 day's revenue could cover the cost of the car. Think about that.
I love it. It's an inspiration to think that guy didn't even start till he was a little bit later in life. Because if you know his early story, alcoholism, I think it was, in a bad situation growing up and near death with drugs experience. Like, it's not like he started when he was 18 or born into money. You know what I mean? He was selling cars on a car lot,
man. And he's an overnight success. It only took 60 years.
Yeah. But when he actually got into sales and got serious, I don't think he was until in his 40s. I could be wrong, but it was late in the game, later than what you normally would think would happen when you see success stories.
Totally. So just to paint a picture of on the opposite side of this, because you said make investments, don't buy Rolexes. I didn't listen to that as much in my early days. Today, that's more what I'm focused on. So one of the first syndication deals that I was an investor in. This doesn't have to be only you going and syndicating deals. This could be you starting to pay attention to people like Grant Cardone and different people that are offering them. The first one that I did, I put $25,000 in, and I got $400 a month off of that 25 grand, right? Let's say I'm thinking about buying a car for 25, 30 grand. My payments on that are going to be about $400, let's just say. Now I can put the 25 grand into this syndication deal, have my $400 a month coming in, keep that asset, and now that's paying my car note, right? That's how the wealthy buy stuff. They find things that they can buy that help them buy the things they want to buy. And when that car runs into the ground or when they sell it for a loss, their 25 grand is still sitting in that asset that's paying them the $400 a month.
What are the resources, speaking of, what are the resources that one has to pay attention to if they start playing the syndication game about, how do I structure this to where I'm paying my investors, right? Because like you're saying, you were getting $400 a month. Great. Now, what if I'm the one with a syndication fund? I think that's what it would be called, right? A syndication fund. If I'm with a syndication fund and I got to go pay Sam and 20 other dudes, 35 other dudes, 50 other people, 100 other people, $400 a month, that's stuff that's over most everybody's head on this call. in terms of how to set that up. Who are the people, right? Not how do you do it, because you're not giving legal advice or financial advice, and that we don't have the time. The question is, who are the people that you need to look for that are going to help you solve for all this?
Great question. For one, there's tools that you can use. There's companies that have white labeled the crowdsourcing digital functionality, like CrowdStreet, which
they cottage milled it, right? They've turned it into a little bit of an industry where it's rinse and repeat.
And they've white labeled it so you can just take the infrastructure they've built.
Bam. Young money.
But you're going to need people. You're going to need people, and you're going to need advisors. That's why this thing, it's not, there is cash in, right? You have to talk to attorneys. You have to get documents drafted. There is cash in. But I'd say I would start with just a really strong attorney that can tell you what to do, what not to do. Look at CrowdStreet as a resource to help you raise and manage portfolios and funds. Also, just side note, you're going to need, if you're really going to lean into this, you're going to need like an acquisition team and a due diligence team. We're going to be, right now, we have two options. Do we pay them salary or do we roll them into the deal? So we're going to roll them into the deal in the beginning and maybe forever. But like you can even say to brokers, hey, you find me the deal and I'll roll you into 1 or 2% ownership into this asset without you putting any of your own cash in. My ADD is kind of all over the place. I just wanted to go back to, you can find deals by rolling people in.
Right.
You could maybe even roll your attorneys into the deal and say, hey, I don't want to put the cash out for you to advise me through this process. So consider rolling people into the deals, and you'd be amazed how many people will do that. But you're going to need a solid bookkeeping team. There's a company out there my friend owns. I'm blanking on the name. It'll come to me. It'll come to me before we hang up. If not, I'll send it to you and you can put it in the notes.
Okay. Yeah.
He has like an outsourced bookkeeping. It's coming to me. An outsourced bookkeeping company.
Okay.
So you can hire them depending on the volume and stuff for maybe $500 or $1,000 a month to be your bookkeeper on these different projects. I can't believe I'm blanking the name. We used to use them too.
Bookkeeping firms. Do you know what I found out the other day, or figured out the other day, like months ago, maybe over a year ago? No, what am I talking about? This is like over a year and a half ago. Tony Robbins owns, I believe, 4 accounting firms.
Wow.
But he used, I'm going to guess, some of the kind of the process you're describing, except not, Reg A, because this was way before Obama passed the Jobs Act. But he would buy accounting companies and bookkeeping firms and then use that as a lead generator source for his business mastery program to sell, because they were all businesses that were clients.
That is smart.
And then you still own the actual asset itself too, the accounting, the bookkeeping firm.
That is really, really smart. That kind of goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, right? Like buy businesses that, you can drive traffic to, but can also drive traffic to you.
And as a real estate agent, you could be vested in a bookkeeping firm and then use that as a potential to be the real estate agent.
Or like a property management firm. Like there's just so much opportunity. The name of that company, by the way, is called Fully Accountable. Oh,
I've heard that name, but now I don't remember the name of the guy.
Vinny Fisher.
I've interviewed him.
Oh yeah?
Vinny Fisher.
He's my brother.
CEO, Mastermind and CEO. He has a program too, right? Where he takes people on a journey. The guy's a serial entrepreneur, so he does a bunch of things, but he's really fully accountable. Yes.
Fully accountable. And he has a new company too that's called, I think, Total CEO.
That's what I was thinking of.
Where you can hire a CEO through his, floor of CEOs, I guess, is
right. Isn't that
at a fraction of the cost of hiring a CEO. So that might be something that you do in something like this as well.
Awesome. Brilliant. What have I not asked you about empire thinking and empire building and wealth creation that you maybe wanted to have talked about or mentioned? Anything?
That's a great question. I'll tell you that, I'm a guy that didn't go to college. I didn't study this stuff. I 3 years ago, the stuff went over my head as I was just in the business of being in my own business, but hanging out with really smart people and putting myself in these environments, is no joke the only reason that you and I are talking about this today. So I say that because some of you are thinking, man, this is a big undertaking, which it is. But you're saying, oh, I can't do this. But you can. This is over my head. Of course it is. This is the first time you've heard about it. So like, don't allow the challenge of this unknown to be what stops you from it, and rather realize that this is the opportunity. Like, this is the opportunity to really lean in. So just find the rooms, find the coaches, find the mentors. There's so many people that teach this stuff. And, you know, you're either going to invest a few $1,000s to have someone teach you how to do it, or you're going to invest a few years and headaches trying to figure out how to do it on your own. So, you know, from a guy that really hasn't figured out anything on his own, I've just aligned myself with really smart people. I challenge you, don't allow that to be what stops you, but instead just ask yourself or Google it, you know, who's the best at this, and find a way to get in the room with them. If you have to pay, or just simply pick up the phone and ask them for lunch. There's a lot of smart people that will share all these nuggets and help you put these deals together.
I think it would be an absolute sin and tragedy for people to hear the subject and the content that you've shared now and then not take action on it, right? Now, knowing somebody like me and like you, probably, I would venture, you know, you hear something like this, you're taking notes, your brain's on fire, you're excited, you're seeing different opportunities, you're connecting dots, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes that excitement can lead to anticlimactic nothing. Yeah. So if you were to advise somebody on the first next steps from everything we've talked about it, right? What would be the number one thing you would give people, or what would be the next best steps that you would advise or coach somebody on to take to start implementing any of what we've talked about today?
That's a great idea. This is how I did it for myself. Everybody's different. I needed to actually put the pen to paper and like work a deal. I wasn't planning on buying the deal. So jump onto LoopNet and start searching for multifamilies.
Okay.
And I think most people, everybody has their own strategy. Most people, they'll look for the best cap rates. I look for like the not best cap rates that have room to bring up the cap. So look for stuff in the 3 to 4 area, 3 to 4 cap, and find a small deal. In San Diego, a small deal is like $1 million, right? In your area, a small deal might be 200 grand. Find that small deal. And then, okay, let's just say it's $1 million. Say, okay, assume I can get 60% financing, 600 grand. What would that financing be like? Work out those payments. Then on LoopNet, it shows you the rent rolls. It shows you how much they're collecting. Calculate that and then see what your cash flow is. All right, well, my mortgage is going to be $5 grand. My rent collected per month is going to be $9 grand. Okay, now this asset with just debt looks like it has a $4,000 a month profit margin. But now I got to go raise money. And those people are going to want some sort of guaranteed rate of return. So just start to work the numbers. That's the first thing I would do, is work it on paper so that you can actually see all the way through the transaction yourself. Then I would suggest YouTubing how syndication works. Like legit, that's where I started. There's a lot of free assets, and I just wanted people, because as soon as I call the attorney, that's $600 an hour. There's cheaper attorneys. That's what mine is, $600 an hour. That's just stacking up. So I wanted to get my easy questions answered before I jumped on the phone with the attorney. Then you're going to have your questions that are not yet answered. Jump on the attorney, pay them that few $100, get those questions answered. Then you're going to ask them, okay, let's assume this deal that I worked out here is the first deal I want to do. Let's assume I want to go Reg A. Let's assume I'm going to hire you. What's the next step? And let your attorney advise you on what the next step is.
Love it. Makes perfect sense.
Folks, it's just scary because it's big numbers. It's scary because you haven't done it. All it is a mathematical equation, right? You just got to learn how to work the math and almost more importantly, learn how to say no to deals. You want to say no to more deals than you ever say yes to. Like my cousin that's making all that money, he told us that they're buying 6 to 7 deals a year and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars. You don't need every deal. You just want the good deals. And as the deal gets more expensive, the pool of buyers gets smaller. So it seems like the bigger deals are harder to do when in fact the bigger deals have less potential buyers. So the bigger opportunities often fall in the bigger deals. And then you're going to say, oh, it's a big deal, but the numbers all add the same, right? Like percentage rates are percentage rates. Rent is rent. Like you're just talking about an extra zero that you can calculate on your phone or on a calculator. You just got to have the desire and the, the grit to be willing to go through it as opposed to get crippled by it.
And just be okay with learning, right? Know that there's a learning curve, and be okay with accepting the learning curve that you're going to be on, but get through it just one step at a time.
And maybe even like reach out to someone in an area that does these deals and say, hey, like, I'd like to bring you a deal. I don't want a finder's fee. I don't want equity in the deal. If I bring you a deal that you like, can you just let me be a fly on the wall as you put this deal together? That's worth more than being a part of the deal.
Yeah.
Right? If I can have Andre show me how he structures a deal, how he calculates a deal, show me how he calls his investors and puts the deal together, that's worth way more than the deal.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, we've come to the end of our time together today. Thank you for this.
Thank you, my friend.
It's definitely my top 5 favorite interviews right here.
Oh, nice.
The whole summit, for sure. So I want to make sure it gets extra love on the summit. I got ways to do that. You're
the boss.
I got my fingers on a keyboard. But seriously though, thank you for showing up and sharing this. Thank you for your first session. Thanks for this, man. I just think that with all the change that's happening in the industry, technology wise, markets wise, economics wise, politics, who's elected, who's not, culturally speaking, technology forces, discounters, you've got iBuyers, with everything that's kind of just going on in the industry. I think people need to hear something like this. There's other ways to look at the opportunity. There's other ways to make revenue. There's so many different other ways to make yourself anti-fragile, right? So it doesn't matter which way the economy swings or where the pressure comes from, or if we get commission compression, right? That's the first time I've heard that. That's good. Commission compression, like whatever happens, change is coming. We don't know exactly what it is, but we know it's coming. People need to hear something like this because, one, I think it's inspirational, right? So, and then 2, there's a path. There's an actual legitimate concrete path, right? Ancillary income, getting vested into businesses, syndication and buying multifamily, buying businesses, whatever it is. There's so many different ways you can do as a real estate agent. You just need to start spending a little bit more time learning and applying yourself to this and less time on Netflix. Right?
Dude, I so agree with you that I'm just going to give a little rant because I think our industry needs to hear it. I think it was like just a couple days ago. I'm in the shower. Right before I get in the shower, I just wanted to give you a visual of me in the shower.
I'm thinking about it.
So, and I'm right before I get in, I see a post. It was on, I think, Real Closers or on someone's page. And they're just like, oh my gosh, this op city, iBuyer, this and that, they're killing our industry, yada. And it's agents talking shit about how we're all going to be out of business. And it pissed me off. I'm like sick and tired of hearing this. Like, why? You know what's going to put us out of business is all of you talking about us being put out of business instead of playing the I'm crying wolf and the world is falling and all this is over. Like, why aren't you implementing an iBuyer program into your own business? Why aren't you looking how to bring up commission by bringing up value and ancillary services? We are the problem and we are also the opportunity. Don't let these Inman headlines, these clickbaits scare you and deter you from doing what's important. Their job is to put you in this state of paralysis and just get the clicks. Stop listening to the noise and be the cause, be the movement, be the future, and you'll realize agents aren't going anywhere. Our business is just going to look different, taste different, and if you do it properly, it'll be more lucrative. I'm sorry.
Mic drop.
That's all I got.